Think back to being 8 years old. A summer afternoon. Time didn't move at all. An afternoon lasted a week. A school year felt like an era, and waiting for your birthday took what felt like years. Now look at this year. It's July. You blinked, and it's July. That feeling is not an illusion. Something is actually changing, and scientists can measure it. Time, your time, the time you actually experience, is speeding up. And there's a reason. There's even a number, and the number is worse than you think. Start with the math, because the math is brutal. When you're 9 years old, 1 year is a ninth of everything you have ever lived. Roughly 11%. It's an enormous fraction, an enormous chunk of everything you've ever known. By the time you're 50, you've lived 50 of them. So 1 year is 1/50th of the whole. 2%, a rounding error. And you already know this is true because you've lived it. Remember how long the wait between birthdays used to be? That wait hasn't changed. 365 days, same as ever. What changed is what a day is worth to you. Scientists have studied this for over a century. They call it the proportional theory. Each year you live is a smaller and smaller fraction of your whole life. So each year feels smaller. As a share of your life, the years are literally shrinking. It's the same reason a mile feels enormous when you've only walked 10, and invisible when you've driven 10,000. Your brain doesn't measure time in minutes. It measures it against everything you've already lived. And that pile of lived time grows every single day. Every year you live makes the next one a thinner slice of the whole. Adult years are exactly as long as they always were. You're the thing that keeps getting bigger, while the years stay the same size. Pour a cup of water into a pond, then into an ocean. Same cup, less and less difference. Run that math across a lifetime, and something disturbing shows up. Your brain measures time as a slice of everything you've lived. The evidence says so. And that means the life you feel doesn't run evenly from birth to death. It's front-loaded. By that math, your life already feels more than half over somewhere in your early 20s. If you're past 25, more than half of your life, as it feels to you, may already be behind you. That sounds impossible. It also matches exactly how it feels. So what's actually happening in your head? Almost nobody tells you the next part. Your brain doesn't have a clock. There is no organ that counts seconds. Instead, your brain guesses how long things took the only way it can, by how much it actually recorded. Time, for your brain, is memory density. A dense film strip full of new frames feels like a long stretch of time, while a nearly empty one feels like barely a moment. That's the whole trick, and that's the entire machine. When you were a kid, everything was a first. Your first thunderstorm, the first time a friend lied to you, the first time the ocean genuinely scared you. Your brain was recording everything, in full resolution, because all of it was new and all of it might matter. As an adult, your brain does something smart and something terrible. It recognizes the repetition. The same commute, the same desk, the same evening again, and so it quietly stops recording. Why store 1,000 copies of the same day? So whole months compress into a single frame. And when you look back, your brain finds almost nothing there, and concludes almost no time has passed. The year ran at its normal speed. It simply never got saved. Try it right now. Try to remember last Tuesday. Anything about it. For most people, there's nothing there. Not because something's wrong with you. Your brain judged that day to be a duplicate and threw it away. The worst part is that the deletion is silent. You never feel a day being discarded. You only notice at the end of the year, when you look back and find 11 months missing, and say the sentence everyone over 30 says, "Where did this year go?" It went nowhere. It was never written down. Your life is the same length it was always going to be. Your memory of it is what's thinning out. And underneath the memory problem, there's a hardware problem. In 2019, a Duke University professor named Adrian Bejan published a different explanation. As you age, the web of connections in your brain grows bigger and more tangled. Signals travel longer pathways, across connections that are slowly wearing out. The result? Your brain literally captures fewer mental images per second than it did when you were young. A child is running at a higher frame rate. To a kid, the world genuinely happens in slow motion. The outside world is the same, but the frame rate is different, and so the world you actually experience is different too. This is real, by the way. It's why you can't catch a fly. To a fly's eyes, your fastest strike arrives in slow motion. Researchers measured this across a wide range of animals. Two things shape how fast time moves for an animal: how big it is, and how fast its body burns energy. Small animals with fast metabolisms catch more detail per second than large, slow ones. Those small, fast animals live inside a slower world. And you have lived on both sides of that divide. The 8-year-old and the 50-year-old sitting on the same bench are not experiencing the same afternoon. They are running at different speeds. Nobody told you that growing up meant the projector would quietly speed up every year. So the speed up you feel is two engines stacked on top of each other. Your brain saves fewer memories and it samples reality more slowly, and both push in the same direction. Both of them are working against you right now. But there's a crack in the machine, and you've already felt it. Think about the last real trip you took. While you were living it, it flew by. But looking back, that 1 week feels bigger than the entire month of work before it. How long something felt while you lived it and how long it feels looking back are two different things. Time flew while it happened and stretched when remembered. Because there are two of you. One is living this moment. The other pieces it back together afterward, and they use different clocks. The experiencing self measures time by attention. The remembering self measures it by density, how many new frames got stored. That week wrote far more memory than the stretch of routine around it. So in the only record that survives, your memory, that week is literally longer than the month. There's a darker version of this finding. Psychologists studied how people remember their whole lives. They found something they call the reminiscence bump. No matter how old you get, the memories that survive pile up between the ages of 10 and 30. The decades after, they thin out. Plenty happened in those decades. Less of it was new enough to keep. Which means that at the end, the story your brain tells about your life is mostly written in the first act, unless you force it to keep writing. Which means the length of your life, as you will remember it, is not fixed. It's written, frame by frame, and you're holding the pen. Because if time speed is memory density, then you can change the speed. A new memory is fragile for a while after it forms. In rats and in humans, exploring somewhere new during that window makes the memory stick harder. Researchers call it behavioral tagging. Something new floods your brain with the raw material a memory needs, and any fragile memory nearby grabs it. Novelty pushes your brain back into recording mode. New places, new skills, new people, and first times of any kind at any age. Your brain cannot compress something it has never seen before. What you need is new frames, and you can get those inside the life you already have. A different street on the way home, a skill that embarrasses you, a conversation with a stranger. Each one is a frame your brain has to keep. And this has actually been tested. When researchers changed people's routines, even in small ways, those weeks felt much longer looking back. Monks report the same stretching, so do travelers. Prisoners living identical days report the opposite, years that simply vanish. And that rule, more new frames, more time, holds everywhere scientists have looked. And notice what the rule doesn't require. It doesn't require the new thing to go well. The memories that stick with you longest aren't your smoothest days. They're the ones where something broke the pattern. Being bad at something new writes more frames than being excellent at something old. People who keep this up say the years start to thicken again. Time ran at its usual speed. More of it was getting saved. Think again about that 8-year-old with the endless summer. That kid got the same number of hours you get now. That kid was just paying far closer attention to each one. The math says your felt halfway point is behind you, But the math assumed you'd keep living on autopilot. It assumed the frames would keep thinning. That part is a choice. Your next year can be another thin slice of a life you barely remember. Or it can be the year the film got dense again. The clock is running at the speed it always ran. What happens to those years is still up to you.